There is a very specific moment in the life of a plus-size woman that few people can see. It's that instant before she walks into a crowded place, when she stops at the door, takes a deep breath, and decides which version of herself she's going to present to the world that day. It's not insecurity. It's emotional survival. It's the result of years spent learning to protect herself from looks, comments, and silences that speak louder than any word. And when that woman decides to open her heart to a man, she's not just giving herself over. She's testing, even without meaning to, whether he is capable of holding something the entire world has already tried to diminish. Most fail. Not out of cruelty, but out of ignorance. First need is to be seen beyond her body. Sounds obvious, but it isn't. Being seen beyond her body doesn't mean the man needs to ignore her appearance. It means he needs to see what exists behind her eyes when she tells a story. It means that when she talks about a dream, he pays attention to the dream, not the silhouette. The plus-size woman has spent her entire life being reduced to the shape of her body, whether through compliments that always come with a caveat or through criticism disguised as concern. When a man truly sees her, she feels it in her cells. And when he doesn't, she feels that too. The second need is genuine desire, without guilt and without an asterisk. She needs to know that he truly desires her, not in spite of her body, not because he's different from other men, not because he's more evolved. She needs to feel that his desire is clean, direct, without the energy of someone who thinks they're doing her a favor. There is an enormous difference between a man who desires her and a man who accepts her. Acceptance smells like condescension. Desire smells like truth. Plus-size women are extremely sensitive to this difference because they spent years sharpening that radar through pain. The third need is to not have to apologize for existing. This runs deeper than it seems. Many plus-size women carry an unconscious habit of diminishing themselves before someone else can do it. They get there first with the self-deprecating joke, they minimize the space they take up, they overthank people for things that are basic. And when they're with a man who doesn't make them feel that way, who doesn't require that ritual of self-diminishment, they need time to believe it's real. The role of the man who knows how to handle this isn't just to refrain from criticism. It's to create an environment where she gradually learns she doesn't need to ask permission to be who she is. The fourth need is emotional safety in social situations. Going out with him to a restaurant, going to a party, appearing in a photo. Each of these situations carries a weight he will probably never have to carry in the same way. She is constantly monitoring the environment, reading people's reactions, wondering what he's thinking when she eats, when she laughs loudly, when she takes up space. The man who knows how to handle this understands without her having to explain. He doesn't make grand performative gestures of public acceptance, because that's humiliating too. He simply acts naturally, and that naturalness is the greatest gift he can give her in those moments. The fifth need is to not be protected from her own story. Often, out of good intentions, men try to change the subject when a woman begins to talk about the difficulties she's lived through because of her body. They say, "But you're beautiful," as a way of closing the conversation. That cuts her off mid-sentence. She's not asking to be fixed. She's asking to be witnessed. There is a difference between the man who comforts her and the man who listens to her. What she needs is the second. Let her finish the sentence. Let her feel angry. Let her be complex. The need to be heard without being rescued is one of the deepest needs there is, and one of the least understood. The sixth need is intimacy without performance. The relationship between the plus-size female body and intimacy is a minefield laid down by years of social conditioning. At some point, she learned that pleasure had a physical prerequisite she needed to meet before she deserved it. That idea is toxic, and it lives in layers she sometimes can't even identify herself. The man who knows how to handle this creates a space of intimacy where she doesn't need to position herself at a specific angle, with the lights off or mentally checked out of her body. He brings her back inside herself. This isn't done with pretty words. It's done through real presence, through consistency, through the repeated proof that he won't leave when the illusion fades, because for him it was never an illusion. The seventh need is to be loved in a way that expands, not completes. There is a beautiful trap many people fall into, the idea that love fills the empty spaces. For a woman who spent years being taught she is too much in weight and not enough in worth, a love that arrives to fill the gaps can easily become emotional dependency. What she truly needs isn't someone who completes what's missing, but someone who helps her see what was always there. A love that expands doesn't say, "You need me." It says, "You can do this and I want to watch." This kind of love is rare because it requires the man to be settled enough within himself that he doesn't need to be needed. And that emotional maturity is exactly what separates the 1% from the rest. When you read these 7 needs together, you realize they aren't exclusive to plus-size women in the sense of being strange or unique. They are universal human needs that become intensified by the specific experience of living in a body the world spent years trying to correct. Plus-size woman is not more fragile. She is more precise. She knows exactly what she wants because she already knows very well what hurts. The man who belongs to the 1% doesn't carry a list of techniques. He has one core quality, the ability to be present without an agenda. He is not with her in spite of something. He is with her because of her. And she feels that difference the first time he looks at her without searching for something to fix. The world will keep being full of people who think knowing how to handle a plus-size woman means giving strategic compliments or avoiding comments about food. But truly handling it is something else. It's understanding that she arrived to you carrying years of a narrative that wasn't written by her, and that every gesture of yours either confirms that narrative or begins to dismantle it. You are choosing all the time, even when you think you aren't. And she notices. She always notices.